Welcome to the Movie Sekai. Discover the magic of cinema with our captivating film recaps and insights. Join us as we explore unforgettable stories and hidden gems. Today, I'll discuss the movie I Spit on Your Grave. Jennifer, a girl who moves to a country house, gets attacked by local residents. "Get out of here right now, I called the cops," she shouts. Jennifer arrives in a small town and rents a house in the forest for 6 months. On her way, she stops at a gas station. Johnny helps her fill up her car and tries to flirt with her, but she laughs and says he isn't her type. "I got that." "Oh, I got it." "No, I got it," he responds. Jennifer apologizes, but Johnny's friends are already laughing at him. When she arrives at the house, she starts working on her book. She chose this place to avoid distractions. She brings in a box of alcohol and opens a bottle. The first night in the house is peaceful. The next day, Jennifer drinks and writes her book, but in the evening, she hears strange sounds from the forest. She spills a glass of wine on her foot and goes inside to clean up. Meanwhile, someone is filming her on camera. The following day, while jogging through the forest, Jennifer hears strange noises and eventually finds an abandoned house. Jennifer returns home and notices the faucet and toilet are broken. She calls a plumber but accidentally drops her phone in the water. She tries to dry it with a hairdryer, but it doesn't work. Soon, a guy named Matthew comes to fix the plumbing. Jennifer is very pleased and says, "Thank you." Matthew replies, "Excuse me," and leaves without taking any payment. Matthew goes to his friends and tells them a girl kissed him and that she loves him. His friends laugh at Johnny because Matthew seems cooler. Johnny gets angry and claims all girls want him, and Jennifer will be no exception. That night, Jennifer tries to call her friend, but the phone doesn't work. She gets bored and decides to smoke. She falls asleep around 4 in the morning. She wakes up to a strange noise outside, finds a dead bird on her doorstep, and goes back inside. When she approaches her laptop, she realizes she is not alone. Men enter the house and surround her. Stanley takes out his camera and starts filming. Johnny accuses her of cheating his friend out of money. The men start messing with Jennifer's things and breaking her furniture. Jennifer demands that they leave her house immediately, but Johnny won't stop. He threatens her with a bat and tells her to show her teeth. When she refuses, Johnny hits her on the head several times. Johnny then pulls out a gun and threatens Jennifer. He orders Matthew to take off his clothes and come over, but Matthew, who loves Jennifer, doesn't want to and asks his friends to stop. Johnny puts the gun in Jennifer's mouth, trying to scare her. Jennifer pushes Johnny away, grabs her pepper spray, and runs out of the house into the forest. In the morning, Jennifer meets 2 hunters and tells them what happened. One of them is a sheriff. He goes with Jennifer back to her house. The sheriff says the guys who attacked her have done similar things before. Jennifer mentions that one of the attackers had a gun. The sheriff sees a glass of wine on the table and asks Jennifer why she has so much alcohol. Jennifer explains it's a supply for 6 months and she drinks 1 glass a day. The sheriff doesn't believe her. The sheriff then finds drugs and asks Jennifer who they belong to. Jennifer lies, saying they're not hers, but the sheriff knows she's lying and calls for backup. Jennifer tries to explain that she was really attacked, but the sheriff doesn't believe her. He asks her to turn around so he can search her, then grabs her by the neck. Johnny and his friends come into the house. Jennifer realizes the sheriff was never going to help her. The sheriff threatens Jennifer with his gun. The group forces a girl to follow their orders, but Jennifer refuses. For disobeying, the girl is hit in the face. Johnny persuades Matthew to use the girl, but Matthew resists. His friends call him a coward and weakling, but he still refuses. Johnny threatens to kill the girl if Matthew doesn't comply. Reluctantly, Matthew decides to save her, removes his pants, and approaches Jennifer. Afterward, they leave her lying on the floor. The girl escapes and seeks help, but runs into them again. Stanley starts recording as each guy commits a terrible crime. Jennifer manages to get up and runs into the forest. The group chases her. She reaches a bridge and jumps into the river. The sheriff is ready to shoot, but sees she doesn't surface. He destroys the videotape and orders the group to go to Jennifer's house, burn her belongings, dismantle her car, and search for her body. Every day, the sheriff returns home to his wife and daughter. The following day, the sheriff tells Earl that Jennifer has left town with all her belongings. Earl is relieved, as this means he doesn't have to return her money. Meanwhile, Johnny and his friends decide to call off their search for the body, believing it to be futile. However, Matthew stays by the shore, holding on to hope that Jennifer is still alive. A few days later, Earl calls the sheriff in the evening, reporting that Jennifer has vanished. He mentions that her friend contacted him, saying Jennifer hadn't responded to calls for a week. Earl requests the sheriff to reach out to the friend since he was the last one to see Jennifer. The next day, Stanley informs his friends that his videotape is missing and explains that the sheriff had broken an empty cassette. Johnny, enraged, tries to assault Stanley, but Andy intervenes. That night, Johnny discovers a dead bird on his doorstep. Suspecting one of his friends is playing a prank on him, which begins to annoy him. Agitated, he shouts, "Come out! Come out! Come on!" The next day, the sheriff arrives home to find a videotape on the table. His wife didn't have a chance to watch it. The sheriff confronts his gang, demanding to know who left the tape. He discovers that Stanley saved the recording and forces the tape into Stanley's mouth. Johnny is convinced that Matthew is behind this because he believes Matthew fell in love with Jennifer. The sheriff orders the gang to find Matthew quickly. Meanwhile, Jennifer, who has survived, lures Matthew to an abandoned house. She has been living there, plotting her revenge. Matthew apologizes, saying he only wanted to help her. Jennifer asks him to sit next to her, claiming she believes him. Then, she takes a rope and attacks Matthew. Meanwhile, the sheriff invites a friend for a hunting trip, gives him strong alcohol, and then shoots him, eliminating the only witness. Jennifer sets a trap for Andy and Stanley. They split up, and Stanley ends up falling into a trap. Andy discovers his injured friend but is bewildered by the situation. Jennifer then knocks Andy out with a blow to the head. When he regains consciousness, he finds himself in a dangerous predicament. Jennifer turns on the water and ties Stanley to a tree. She takes his camera and starts recording, using hooks to keep Stanley's eyes open before spreading fish guts on them. Jennifer returns to Andy, who insults her and claims not to be afraid. Jennifer pours lye into the water and removes the stick, causing Andy to plead for forgiveness. She waits until he's exhausted before pushing him into the water. Meanwhile, crows peck at Stanley's face. After dealing with Stanley, Jennifer lures Johnny into a trap and binds him. Jennifer starts by demanding Johnny show his teeth, and then removes them. Johnny continues to hurl insults and threats, swearing that he will escape and kill her. Jennifer disregards his threats, uses scissors on him, and leaves him to bleed out. Her next victim is the sheriff. Disguised as a teacher, she visits his house. When the sheriff arrives home, his wife tells him that their daughter went out with Jennifer. The sheriff heads to the park, where Jennifer knocks him unconscious. He wakes up in an abandoned building, his pants down. Jennifer attaches a gun's trigger to Matthew's hand. The sheriff begs for mercy, but Jennifer mocks him and walks away. As she departs, a gunshot is heard, bringing the film to a close.